up to when that debut is going to be, but Naomi, I think you may just get started, and then we'll put it over there. Solomon, are you not a football guy? You would have told us that kuna vinyang'anyiro.
I forgot.
No, no worries, no worries. Anyway, so Naomi, you may just get started, and let's record it that guys may have a look at it after the presentation. So, to the few people here, it's my pleasure to introduce to you Naomi Okirigiti. I never knew her second name until she wrote it. So, Naomi, you can take it away.
Child access financing with flexible payment terms. Let us talk about Biashara, crucial the supply chain flowing smoothly
Hi
and
everyone.
profits.
I hope you can see my screen.
Biashara.
Yes, yes, yes. Your screen is very much visible.
Okay. So today we're going to talk about US scholarships for masters and PhD. So on our agenda we have introduction, my journey to BGSU, and then we'll talk about the admission process, different scholarships and funding options, and the common challenges international students face and suggestions on how to overcome them, as well as the key takeaways.
Nimeendelea kubadilika. Colin
So
Shitamayaranga, kilimo miaka mitatu ya uongozi wa rais
I'm
wa
not
jamhuri.
sure everybody can hear me because I can hear some background noise.
Yeah, it looks like someone is following Muse, so maybe we can mute. Let me see who that friend is and help mute. Okay. Yes, yes, we are good now. We are good now.
Okay, so I'll start by introducing myself. Like you've heard, I'm Naomi Nyabando Kirigiti. I'm a CPA, like from Kenya, and then currently working as a corporate accountant in the energy industry. I hold a bachelor's degree in economics and finance from Machakos University, and then a master's in arts in financial economics from Bowling Green State University here in Ohio. So I first came to the US last year, January, during winter. So before coming to the US, I was working in PwC as an auditor before I got my scholarship to come and pursue Masters in Financial Economics at Bowling Green State University. So this is how, like, an aerial view of my former grad school looks good. And then
Mm.
so we jump right into the admission process. So the first thing you do is you research your preferred program. So depending on what you pursued in your undergrad or what you want to pursue in your master's or PhD, you go like Google the schools, the program, sorry, you want to pursue, and then you'll see which schools offer that particular program. And then depending on what school or what program you want to pursue, there are different requirements. So some schools will want you to do English test, which is the IELTS and TOEFL, and then some will also want you to do GMAT or GRE. But depending on your GPA, some schools can waive your GMAT or GRE, and then also some schools can waive your English test. Like for example, the grad school I went to exempt some countries from having this English test, and Kenya is one of the countries that is exempted. So that's an advantage if you want to apply to that school. And then once you check the required, okay, it's also important to note that these English tests have an expiry period. For example, the IELTS has a 2-year validity. So if say you want to start doing your English test right now, once the results are out, it will take you, like you can only use it within 2 years, beyond which it will be invalid, so you'll have to use it again. So it's important for you to have this in mind, because some applications or some schools like may take long to respond to you, and yeah, it's good to have this in mind. And then, so the application documents that you need is your university transcripts. And then some schools will want you to have your transcripts evaluated, but some schools can exempt that too, like my grad school exempted that, and some other schools that I applied to in Louisiana had that exemption. And also your statement, your personal statement or statement of purpose, that's mostly how they call it. So this is what speaks about you in your absence. It's what, it's the letter that whoever is evaluating your application will read to know about you before you can schedule an interview to speak about yourself. So it's important that you write all your capabilities, your leadership experience, your work experience, your academic achievements. Try to be as clear as possible, because this mostly has a lot of weight to determine if you get admission or not. And then you need recommendation letters. Most schools require 3 recommendation letters, and they're more credible if they are from an institution or corporate email. Because some schools will tell you that if you send them a personal, like if someone sends the recommendation letter using a personal email, they will need to do more verification. So you're better off having someone with a corporate email or a institutional email to write you a recommendation. And then, of course, you'll need your resume or your CV and application fee. So application fee varies from school to school. And then scholarships and funding. Okay, before I go to scholarships and funding options, so once you check the program you want to pursue, you check the requirements, and then you'll know if you need to do your English test or your GMAT and GRE, and then you make an application. Most schools will take between a month to 2 months to get back to you if you have the admission or not. So once you have your admission letter, so that's when you'll be required to send bank statements. Assuming you don't have full funding, you will be required to send bank statements to show that you have that financial capability to cater for your tuition and your living expenses. So, but this won't happen to you if you have full funding. And so once you send the bank statements and the biodata page of your passport, the school will send you a document called an I-20. This is a document that shows your program, how long your program is going to take. It's an important immigration document because this is what you will be using while in the country to show that you are in legal status. So once you receive your I-20, you schedule a visa interview date, and then you pay the visa interview fees, and then go to the embassy. And once you have your visa, you travel. So it's not much of a complicated process. Once you have your admission, the rest is dependent on how fast or how efficient you want to be. And then we have scholarships and funding options. So we have different kinds of scholarships. Some are merit-based. So depending on how you scored on your undergrad, some schools will want to give you either full funding or graduate assistantship that comes with a stipend. So we have different forms of graduate assistantship. So you could be a teaching assistant, where you go and teach undergrad students and get paid a salary, or you could be a research assistant, where you're attached to a professor and help them, like kind of be their right hand person to when they do different research. And then you could also be like just general graduate assistant, where you are assigned to a professor and you could help in grading the assignments, or sometimes uh, invigilating exams with them. So it's just different tasks. But okay, some graduate assistantships will give you full funding, but some will give you the salary without full funding. So it's also important for you to know what your graduate assistantship has before you can make your decision to join the grad school. And then there are other external scholarships like the MasterCard Foundation Scholars, which I think was talked about by Helen in your last meeting. Yeah, basically those are the main funding options available. So common challenges that are faced by international students, some are like high application fees. So there are some schools that could waive your application fee depending on, well, some schools will state in their website that if you attend either one or of their websites, they'll give you a code that when you're making your application, you enter the code and then your application fee is waived. Or you could request the school to waive your application fee. Some can waive for you. And then the fear of rejection. So I always tell people it's easier to have more than one option, or like it's easier to apply to more than one school. If you have two or three applications, one of them could give you full funding, or one of them could have lower tuition fee compared to the other one, or just as like in short, there are just advantages of having more than one school or more than one admission, because it's easier for you to choose and compare costs, for example. And then adjusting to new culture. So most schools here in this country have communities like for different countries. So you'll join the university and then you'll find other people in your community, and then join student associations and other diaspora networks who could help you either get a job after grad school or just network and guide you depending on what profession you are in. So there are different networks that could easily connect you to the right people. So the key takeaways for me in this application process is it's important to start early. So most admissions take place in fall or spring. It's summer admissions are very few because most people go on summer holiday. So fall starts in September to December, and spring is from January to end of April. So depending on how, let's say now this is September, and if you want to apply for fall next year, it's important for you to start now so that once you have that admission, you have enough time to plan yourself, enough time to compare the options you have, and even enough time to ask for sabbatical leave if you have to ask for sabbatical leave from your employer. And then build a strong application. Like we said, essays and recommendations are what are speaking for you in your absence. So it's important that you have strong recommendation letters and a good essay. And then, like I said, don't limit yourself. Even if it means applying to 4 or 5 schools, you're better off because you'll have options to choose from. Yeah, I wish you all the best. You should want to reach me, you can reach out to me through my email or through LinkedIn.
Okay, well, Naomi, that was a thorough and a brief one as well. But then now, for me, I know you. For my listeners, they may not know you. Maybe let's just get a little more specific on how you hacked this whole thing. By the way, did you mention that you're previously with PwC, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So you're previously with PwC for like 1.5 years or 1 year thereabout, and then you kept looking for opportunities to do your masters in financial economy. So how did you get to land this scholarship? Like, how did you get it? And like, where did you get the opportunity? What was the process like at an individual level, apart from this overall picture of how one could approach the scholarship? So yourself, how did it happen? Did you have to have, for instance, I know like sometimes you need, when you're going for visa, you need like you say bank statements and such. So how was this whole experience for you? How did you, for instance, find a roommate to stay with when you were coming? Did you get the roommate when you're outside the country or before you came to the country? So just that, little more specific.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that question. So in my case, I started applying for schools in August 2023. I joined a WhatsApp group a friend recommended to me. So this WhatsApp group had different students who are looking for opportunities to join grad school in the US. And then so the sponsors or the founders of that group were alumni of the grad school I went to. They came here in the early 2000s, 2007, 2005. So they've been in the country for almost 20 years now. And so I had applied to another school, but I wanted another option just to have more than one application. So when I joined the group, they recommended Bowling Green State University. And then so I went and checked the school website and applied. They also said that there's a Kenyan professor in that school if you want to reach out and have, like, if you have any questions or if you need clarification. So I applied and then I went to the school's website, checked out that professor and sent him an email. I told him I have applied to this program, so I'm trying to get funding. So how do I go about it? And then he told me the person who determines your funding is your graduate coordinator. Your graduate coordinator is specific for your course. So every course or every program has a graduate coordinator who does everything. Like if you have any questions, if you have any uh, issues with the courses you want to do for a particular semester. So I reached out to her and told her I have applied to this program. I have admission, but I'm requesting for funding or scholarship. So she took a while. So I kept sending her reminders, and then she finally reached out and told me she could give me a partial scholarship for the first 2 semesters. So yeah, that's how she gave me the scholarship. So when I got the scholarship and I received the I-20, I needed to get more bank statements because the scholarship was in full. I needed bank statements to show that I could cater for the remaining amount. Because the school sends you an estimate of how much it will cost you for 1 year to pay tuition and living expenses. So I needed
Okay.
to, sorry?
The graduate how like these you call them graduate coordinator. So by applying to the school, do you instantly get an email about who your graduate coordinator is going to be, or how did you get to know that this individual is now my graduate coordinator?
It's in the school's website. So once you
Oh,
go to
okay.
the website and check your faculty, you'll
Yeah.
see they always show like maybe this one is an assistant professor, this one is a professor, this one is the chairman of the department. So it will show you who the graduate coordinator is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. And then now, so now that's graduate coordinator gave you partial scholarship, then you needed proof of additional funding capability. Now, this is where the relatives come in. Yeah, your relatives who are able to support you in case things backfire, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so I see. That really was very incredible. Now, tell me, how was the visa experience like in at the US embassy? How did it go for you? Because that's another thing that people struggle with. And I know since you made it, you've had an opportunity to guide lots of individuals that have been referring to you for the interviews. But just for the sake of the listeners, how is it like, and how would they prepare?
Um, well, it's on a case by case basis, but general information is that the visa officer wants to know what will bring you back. Because when you're going to the embassy, you're not going to tell them that you're going to grad school and then uh, remain in the US because they don't want to remain here. The expectation is that even though they know that's not true, the expectation is that you're coming here, finish your grad school, and go back to your country. So you have to convince them that you're coming back to the country. And by convincing them, it's like proof of ties in your home country. So it could be like you tell them, they will ask you if you have a job. So for me, they asked me what I do. I told them I'm an auditor, and they asked me where I work. I told them PwC. And then they'll also ask you, so that for one is a tie, like once they know you have a good job in your home country, it somehow convinces them that you'll have a reason to come back. So some will also ask you if you're married, if you have kids, if you have relatives here in the US. So that's their way of trying to see that, okay, so you don't have family in the US. So that means chances are you'll want to come back home to your family. Or if you're married and have kids, chances are you want to come back home to be with your family after grad school. So
Yeah.
I think it's just a battle of trying to convince them that you're going to come back. And then
Yeah.
another thing, sorry.
Yeah, and just before you proceed, I just wanted to emphasize on that really there should be a genuine concern that you want to give back to your continent. I mean, that's the whole point of all these opportunities to study abroad. Because as you've watched recently, the dynamics are changing, and previously developed countries used to like immigrants because their populations are not growing as much. But since that has changed, you would even see with the UK too that they no longer want immigrants as much as they did many years before. So that's the whole point, that you do not come here to settle here illegally, that after your visa has expired and your schooling is done, you will disturb them, that you don't want to go back and they have to deport you. So make sure that you are genuine about that, and first of all, be a patriot, of your country, and ensure you get back. Well, so Naomi, yes, then you are saying something.
Yeah, so just try to find a way to convince them that you will come back to your country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The, okay, then the visa, and by the way, this visa thing, if you don't proceed with caution, Naomi will tell you that there are people that lost with, and she got. There are people that never got, and yeah, it's really a very, very, very unpredictable thing. You just have to be be you, and be genuine, and things will work out. Then now, the next thing was to find housing in the US. How did you find your roommate? How did you go about this?
So by the time I was coming, okay, by the time I had my visa, I didn't know anybody in the state or around the school I was coming to. So that was a challenge at first. So it had me uh, in a dilemma of whether or not I wanted to come that time. But then I reached out to this Kenyan professor I had reached out to initially. So I told him I have my visa, but I don't know anybody around there, and it's a challenge for me because I need to find housing. So he linked me up to a Kenyan student who was in grad school then. So yeah, I reached out to the student, and that's how I found accommodation before I left the country. So one thing is, once you get a visa, or once you know that's the school you want to go to, you could actually go to LinkedIn, check out, just search for the school. You'll probably find Kenyans who are in that school. Reach out to some of them and tell them you're coming. One thing I realized that Kenyans here, at least for the ones I met, they're really supportive. Once they know you're coming, because they had that same experience like you, they'll want to find a way to help you. They'll come and pick you up from the airport. They will show you around. They will help you find a roommate or accommodation. So yeah, that professor is the one who linked me to a student, and that's how I found accommodation.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, and that's very much important, because when you're coming to the US at the port of entry, the place that you will first touch down in this country, you need a proof of where you're going to stay. Like, if you don't have a proof of where you're going to stay, you might find it very tough. I remember when I first landed here, I had to, they even want an apartment, exact location. So that is very critical. Take housings seriously, because here, your place, apartment is identified by a lot of things. Street, I don't know, code, address, so much things that can help in case of any emergency. And of course, it's just for the security purpose of this country too. So, and then now, the next thing was, you had a partial funding for the first 2 semesters. Now, for you, you mentioned various options that one can use to raise money. You said you can be a graduate assistant, and there's various types of graduate assistant roles. So for you, which one did you take? How did you get it? Like, how did you apply for it? Is it something that automatically you were told when you get to school, or how did you get it?
So when you're making your application, like when you're applying for admission, there's usually an option that they ask you if you want to be considered for graduate assistantship. So once you click yes, they will automatically consider you, but not everybody who applies or not everybody who gets admission gets to be considered for graduate assistantship. So in my case, I thought if you reach out to that graduate coordinator, they'll have you in mind. And yeah, so when I came, even in my final semester, I reached out to her and requested for more funding. And yeah, I was actually given the funding. So I think if you keep reminding them, even though you said you want to be considered, it's important for you to send reminders or so they can have you in mind and consider you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's very vital. So you are a very seasoned teacher or lecturer at Bowling Green State, even as a master's student, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I know I'm putting you on the spotlight. Yeah, but guys, it's very much possible. So now you went there, became a teaching assistant, did it diligently, and that was enough to was that enough to pay for uh, everything that you needed in Ohio?
Yes, once you have graduate assistantship and additional funding, you're
Yeah.
able to pay your, of course, your graduate assistantship will cover your tuition, and then the stipend they give you is enough to pay for your living expenses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's really great. Yeah, so that's really great. And what else would these friends of mine want to know? Looking back in Kenya, what skills would you have loved to carry as you came to the US? What skills would you have wanted that would help you move around easily, if I'm to frame it that way?
Okay, so one thing I would say is very important to learn is learning how to drive, because once you come to this country, you realize that okay, also depending on which city you get to live in, public means of transport is not very common because most people prefer buying their own cars. So it's very inconvenient for you to move around when you don't have a car. So it's important for you to learn how to drive. And then if you could learn other things, like let's say just other skills like hairdressing, because that is very expensive in this country, that could put more coins into your pocket. And like fixing things like fixing cars, because given that most people will have their own cars, there will definitely be people having mechanical issues. So if you have that skill, that could help you put
Yeah,
more into your pocket.
yeah, yeah. And let me emphasize now, when you speak about hairdressing, especially for ladies, that's a very vital skill because you will want to go to a salon and then they charge you like $150. You know, that's like over 10K. Then you'll be like, wow, over 10K, can you manage to afford that? So I've seen friends of mine that I came with to the US. Actually, they buy those braids. I don't know what they call them, braids, and then they plait their hair themselves. And then a friend of mine has really perfected it that she recently started doing it for others. Now, when the real salons are doing it for like 150, she's doing it at a discounted price from $50 and above. So you see, she's been able to make some extra coins. And to driving, really, really, if you don't know how to drive, then after this you should just put it into your to do list, because when you come to the US, when you get to the cities like Washington D.C., where I am, life will be just very easy because there are trains going everywhere, there are buses working efficiently. But then when you start moving outside major towns, the US is very big and there's no PSV, you know. There's no PSV like in Kenya that drops you almost everywhere. Of course, there are trains that will take you across the country, but if you want to navigate around easily, as Naomi will tell you, you want to go to Walmart to do shopping, the Walmart will be very far from you, and there will be no PSV to take you there up to where Walmart is. So it's either you'll be using Uber, spending extra coins, or if you can easily get a car, which is really not so expensive here. And Naomi, $5,000, $6,000 can help someone get a car, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So and you'll realize that when you get to this country, you can easily raise that money if you have some extra skills, or if you go the route that Naomi is saying and becoming teaching assistant, you can easily raise that. So a car is a necessity, driving skill and skills for mechanics, yeah, to help you touch a few things here and there when you get stuck in the wilderness and no one is around to help you will be very handy. Of course, you don't expect you to go for a two-year training to be a mechanic. Just skill, teach yourself. Maybe YouTube is here and there. Now, I think that helps to elaborate much on your personal experience and the real challenges that you face. So maybe it's time to welcome questions from the listeners. And I started the first one here from Victor. Victor is saying he came a little bit late, but he's asking, so one needs to apply for school first after you're given the offer, you now look for funding. So that is this question. Yes, Naomi, remind us of what you said. You said you applied for the school first, then asked for funding, right?
Yeah, for my case, that was how I did it, because when I reached out to this professor and told him I want to apply to this school, and how, like, I wanted him to tell me how I could get scholarship opportunities. He told
Yeah.
me you need to have admission before you can request for scholarship, because if you they have not checked your transcripts and your other application documents to know if you even qualify to have admission in their department. It's so hard for you to ask them to consider you for scholarship. So for me, getting an admission is key before you could ask for scholarship. I think that could be different with other funding opportunities, like other external funding opportunities. But the route for my route, that's how I did it. Like, you need admission before you ask for scholarship.
Yeah. And actually, in most US universities, that's how it works. Stanford, I mean, not Stanford, but MasterCard is one outlier that you get the scholarship before you apply to the school. And it makes sense for them because, they have specific affiliations with institutions. So once you get the funding for MasterCard, then the school should be easy because they have those partnerships. But for the US, you really need to apply, because after applying then you get something called proof of application. That's the one that you can walk around with to get funding. And you really should not be discouraged, because the US, let me tell you, by default, most of the scholarships is I once applied for a school in the UK, and I didn't apply for funding. Then by default it came with some funding. So they do read your stories, the stories that you give them, and then they start assessing whether to give you some funding even before you ask. So you should not be afraid. Uh, you should not be afraid of applying. And so someone is asking here, Naomi, you are in a good farm. Do you think it's been worth for you to do masters and leave the job you had? Wow, Naomi, there you go.
That's an interesting question. So I've always wanted to do masters, even when I was in PwC. So to me, it was worth it, because the master's degree I did was in line with what I did in my undergrad. And after graduating, even before graduating, I had an offer from a good company. So yeah, I will say it was worth it. PwC was great. it was a good employer, but the route I took to pursue a master's degree, for me, it was worth it. It's what I wanted for myself.
Yeah. Yes, yes. That is self-drive now speaking, that self-drive and what to say, kujijua, knowing yourself. That is what Naomi had. And actually, that's one thing that the US schools, they look for independence of thought, that she could be able to say that, no, PwC is a big name, but long term, is it what I really want to do? No, long term, I want masters. So Naomi, thanks for that. And maybe you should tell them that you also took a sabbatical leave when you're leaving. So maybe you never burnt bridges. So should anytime you feel like you have appetite for your previous role, then you can just go back to it. Yeah. Someone was exactly asking that. BK was asking, are you on a sabbatical leave? Naomi, you want to say yes?
Oh, so when I was leaving for the US, I requested for sabbatical leave because I had my uncertainty. In as much as I wanted to pursue a master's degree, I also didn't know what awaited me on this other side. So I needed to have my job, like that security that if I want to come back, I will go back to my job. So I requested for sabbatical from PwC and they gave me. But when before I graduated and got other offers here, I had to reach out to them and told them that I do not intend to go back to Kenya. I've decided to stay here. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was very vital because in case things had changed drastically and she had to go back, then she would have really used that. So as you leave, as you leave the country, don't burn bridges. Tell them like, oh, I'm going to the US. You guys, you'll miss me. You'll never see me again here to disturb me. Just be very kind and humble. You never know what the life has, and maybe Naomi, of course, you know that when you're coming here, you'll say that you have the good intention of going back to help the country, but how long is the visa? And does it have some space there for someone to utilize? If so, for how long to build your skill before you take it back to the country, to your home country?
So all student visas are usually 5 years. I think even visit visas to the US for Kenyans, they're usually for 5 years. But I will say a visa is just what helps you come in and out of this country. So especially as a student, what determines your legal stay here is your I-20. Your I-20 shows when your program starts and when it ends. So that's really what is important for your stay here. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, and just to emphasize that I-20 thing, really, when you come to the US, be very serious about those documents because at any time you're stopped anywhere and you don't have it, you don't have your identification document, my friend, you may risk deportation because it will mean that you're in the country without identification and illegally. I recall when I first came, there's a few things here I never did right, and when I was trying to make them right thereafter, I got the State's Department returning my stuff, and they were asking why was this not done within your 15 days of landing in the US, and they needed a reason. So it's not every time that you'll tell them that, oh, I didn't know that thing was supposed to be done. So just try to get your things right, those formal documents, do them diligently and make sure it's thorough. So, and maybe to emphasize on that note before I pick Karl Marx's question, I would say that when you want to come to the U, I mean, it's just good manners that you have good social media presence that is undefiled in the sense that right now, the US policy is that if you are an anti-US, then you don't stand a chance being here. And that makes sense. You can't abuse someone and you want to be in their homestead or within their compound. So just ensure that on social media, if you have your US dreams, you don't abuse the US that you want to come to. Because I had a friend of mine from the Philippines who he was coming to New York University, and the way those things were thorough, he sent a message to us here at the World Bank and told us that, hey, you guys ensure your social media is clean. So just have that, because I think you will be uploading links to the social medias you've used for the past 5 years. That's the new regulation, that if you're applying for visa, you give them the links to the social media accounts that you've used for the past 5 years. So if it's YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, then they'll do that. So Karl Marx is asking, Naomi, which program has majority of MSc intake in that institution? Could you link me that prof? Yeah, Karl Marx Otieno. This is a very good friend of mine from JQuad. Wants to follow your footsteps into Bowling Green State. So Naomi, to you.
Well, I wouldn't know which program has majority of like intakes, but okay, another thing I forgot to mention, it's important that you know if your program is a STEM program or non-STEM, because the advantage of doing a STEM program is that once you graduate, you have a longer work authorization compared to those who are not, whose programs are not STEM. Yeah, so I would advise someone to just consider a course that is a STEM course. And then about the professor, if you go to Bowling Green State University website, you will see it's called Kefa Otiso. So you could find his email there and reach out to him.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe Naomi can help with an introduction if you so need. Maybe you have, Naomi can write an email and say, hi, Kefa, this is my good friend from Kenya, wants to do this and this and this. Then you pick it from there, Karl Marx, Yes, so any last question before we release Naomi to prepare for her week? Any last questions that we can have? If there is none, then I think for me, I just want to, or maybe some other things that I may highlight that Naomi spoke about, and I may just want to remind you as we finish now. Don't be intimidated by a lot of requirements, like she said, English tests requirements, like test of English as a foreign language. That one you can get a waiver because the Kenyan degrees are taught, the Kenyan programs are taught fully for 4 years in English. So we do have that waiver option. And then GMAT. A lot of schools will say that they need GMAT or GRE, those tests. Again, you can apply for waiver. And particularly for me, I've been having these programs coming into my emails. I've been attending some forums around. So they've been sending emails to me, and then they don't see me responding. Then they tell me that, if you come to this, if you do this, then you can waiver the GMAT, we can waiver the application fee. So by the way, attending those forums will also help you, because the schools will be able to reach out to you whenever they have offers available. Like I've seen a lot telling me that they have application fee waiver. Then recommendation, Naomi said that they should use, your recommenders should use not personal email, work email, professional email, because that says with the due diligence around the authenticity of your recommenders, And I think that's it. So maybe as we conclude, I would love to drop you a link to our I have a WhatsApp platform, just like the alumni of Bowling Green State also have theirs. So I have a WhatsApp platform that I use to communicate with guys, to share opportunities, and whenever you have any question, you can always chat any admin there, and you will get help. I saw the last time we had that talk on it's called what? MasterCard. We had so many people write to us to help them review essays and beyond even the country's borders. So even this video will upload it, the recording will upload it on our YouTube channel. But in the meantime, you can join the WhatsApp group and follow us to see our activities and to chat any admin at any time you need help. So to that point, I want to thank Naomi for creating time and for coming to share with us our personal journey. Feel free to connect with her on LinkedIn and on our platform too. Whenever you need to speak with her, you can just chat any admin. You tell them, I want to speak with Naomi on this, and you will find her. So thank you guys. Maybe you just give Naomi our flowers as we conclude. Naomi, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. So you're free to leave at any time.